Can everybody hear me? All right. First of all, welcome to Norwescon 48. Really excited to see everybody here. We've got a really exciting opening ceremonies for you all. We're going to bring up the guests of honor, introduce them, talk a little bit. We'll get to know each other. But first, we've got a little bit of housekeeping. To take care of. So let me start by just saying that Norwescon acknowledges that we conduct our meetings and hold our annual convention on the traditional land of the Salish and coastal Salish peoples, including the Duwamish people, the first peoples of what is now called Washington State. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe, past, present, and future. This acknowledgement does not take the place of authentic relationships with indigenous communities, but serves as a first step in honoring the land that we are on. One way you can join Norwescon and stand in solidarity with the first peoples of this land is by supporting Real Rent Duwamish. Donations made through Real Rent Duwamish go directly to Duwamish tribal services, where funds help sustain programs focused on cultural revitalization, community health, education, and the ongoing vitality of the Duwamish tribe. It's pretty cool. All right, so one other bit of housekeeping I want to talk about real briefly, and that is, who here is using Guidebook? Yeah, I love it. Not every hand's up though. So I do want to encourage, we have amazing programming team and publications team, and they put together this guidebook that pulls it all together. And on the back of your name badge, there's a QR code, and this QR code will take you to a webpage. If you scroll down a bit, there's a link to install Guidebook, or you can go to the App Store in your phone and look for Guidebook, one word. And then once you install it, just look for Norwescon 48. This is a great way to find the panels you're interested in. If you have a speaker that you'd like to follow, find out all the times and places that person is speaking, look for all the special events. And this thing is updated, not even nightly. It's updated on an hourly basis, so the changes that are made, et cetera, you're going to be able to find everything. If you want to find the dances, et cetera. So I highly, highly recommend install and use Guidebook. It sounds like a lot of the people are, but just really useful. So really, really great job, Guidebook team. All right, so next, I'm going to bring up our chair and vice chair, our chair, Rob Stewart, and our vice chair, Shauna Batty. So please join me in welcoming Rob and Shauna, who these are elected positions, annually elected, and they're doing a fantastic job.
All right, my guidebook said I had to be here. I got my alarm and everything. Do you know you can set an alarm like 5-10 minutes before the event so you don't miss it? Guidebook's awesome. Hi, I'm Rob. I'm your chair for Norwescon 48.
Hi, I'm Shauna. Can you see me? I'm your vice chair. Welcome.
All right. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. If you haven't, this is this year's, I don't need that. Hold on. This is our souvenir shirt. Souvenir shirt. Get it in the lobby. It's great. All right. Is this your first? Who's his first Norwescon? Welcome home. All right, one of the cool things as chair, I won't be really quick about this, is Norwescon is an all-volunteer organization. None of us are paid. We put our time, energy, and effort into this convention. As a chair, it's one of my privileges every year to nominate someone who has done a lifetime of service to Norwescon. Last night, I gave out my lifetime award to Kat Marrier. I don't know if she's in here. She has over 30 years of volunteering for Norwescon. She's our current publications director, so if you see the signs, the pocket program book, the guidebook app, the souvenir guide, her team put that together, so I want to thank them a lot. So. All right, well, I'm going to hand it over to someone who's more important and more handsome than I am, so we'll go back to John.
Thanks. It's not true, but yeah, thank you.
Also, have fun tonight.
All right, we're almost ready for our guests of honor, but before I'd like to invite one other person up, and that is Indri from Page Ahead to talk about a very exciting charity, and it's also related to an auction in the art room. So I want to please welcome Indri.
Thank you, everyone. I'll try to be quick, but this is my second year back. I'm from Page Ahead. That's one of the nonprofits that actually we're a beneficiary of your donations. So thank you very much. What Page Ahead does is we support kids K through third grade. We help them beat barriers, and some of the big ones are, of course, poverty, English as a second language, and all of that. So, as I said, I'm back for my second year. Last year, this organization raised $1,600. That's enough to give 32 kids 12 books each for the summer. That's more than 380 books. So I have one request for you guys this year. Let's beat that number. Thank you. And the way you can donate is via the silent auction, or I have these, and there's a code here that you can scan and give any amount that you can. It all adds up, and it especially goes to this event. So the page that you're going to be donating to is for this event, so we know exactly what you guys did. So I know we're going to beat last year, so thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Indri. This is a great cause. So please, participate in the silent auction. It's in the art room. If you have a chance to take a look, it's towards the back. It's some cool stuff available, and then direct contributions as well. So without further ado, let's start bringing up our amazing panel of guests of honor, and I'll start with our writer guest of honor, the remarkable T. Kingfisher, also known as Ursula Vernon. You might know her for the Digger webcomic, the Hamster Princess series, or her fantasy novels, including award-winning favorites like A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking and Nettle and Bone. Her webcomic, Digger, won the Hugo Award for Best Graphic Story in 2012. And the Mythopoeic Award in 2013. Now, this is just a slight sampling of some of her awards, so you have to bear with me for a second. Her short story, Jackalope Wives, won the Nebula Award for Best Short Story, the Coyote Award, and the WSFA Small Press Award. Her series, Dragon Breath, won the Sequoia Award for Children's Literature. Her novel, Castle Hangnail, won the Mythopoeic Award for Children's Literature in 2016. Her novelette, The Tomato Thief, won the Hugo Award for Best Novelette in 2017. Who read the Tomato Thief here? Just out of curiosity. Yeah, love it.
Thank you. You don't have to name anymore. I think
I'm
they
getting
get the
to one of
point.
my favorites. Her novel, A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, won the Andre Norton Nebula, the Lodestar, the Dragon, the Locust, and another Mythopoeic Award in 2021. And her short story, Metal Like Blood in the Dark, won the Hugo in 2021. So please join me in welcoming T. Kingfisher. Welcome.
I came out on stage too soon,
No,
didn't I?
perfect timing.
Okay.
All right. Our next guest is our artist guest of honor, Geneva Bowers. She's a Hugo Award-winning 2018 Best Fan Artist, self-taught illustrator based in the North Carolina, Appalachia/Chicago area. Geneva's work is instantly recognizable with its rich use of color and cozy magical vibe. Her work focuses on Black fantasy, whimsical sci-fi, magical realism, fae, fairy, witchy, and Afrofuturist themes, with an emphasis on diverse, soothing character designs, big hair, and rich color palettes. She has illustrated children's books, book covers, comics, including her graphic novel, Hover Girls. Anybody read Hover Girls out here? Yes. And worked with clients like Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Epic Games, and major publishers. Please join me in welcoming Geneva Bowers to the stage. All right, next, our science guest of honor, Summer Ash, has been both a rocket scientist and an astrophysicist, and is now dedicated to sharing the wonders of the universe as a science writer, speaker, and educator. She has worked in aerospace engineering on the X-34 program at Orbital Sciences Corporation, studied radio galaxies and supermassive black holes at the University of Cambridge, and led astronomy outreach at Columbia University in the National Radio Astronomy Observatory's Very Large Array. As a science communicator, Summer's work has appeared in The Atlantic, Smithsonian, Scientific American, Slate, Nautilus, and more, and she has hosted or appeared in STEM programming for NBC News, CUNY, Disney Junior. She served as the in-house astrophysicist for The Rachel Maddow Show and moderates public astronomy events such as Virtual Astro Live for the Intrepid Air and Space Museum. A self-described space cadet, Summer is also a co-founder of Startorialist, blending astronomy, art, and fashion to help everyone wear their love of the cosmos on their sleeves, sometimes literally. Please join me in welcoming Summer Ash to the stage. All right, next we have Spotlight publisher Orbit, represented by Bradley Englert. Orbit is a division of Hachette Book Club, comprising the Orbit, Red Hook, Orbit Works, and Run For It imprints. Launched in 2007, Orbit has established itself as one of the market-leading speculative fiction publishers in the US. Orbit US authors include New York Times bestsellers James S.A. Corey, Ian M. Banks, John Gwynne, Rachel Gillig, Alex E. Harrow, N.K. Jemisin, Ann Leckie, Kim Stanley Robinson, Andrei Sapkowski, Brent Weeks, Hannah Witten, as well as acclaimed science fiction author Adrian Tchaikovsky. Bradley Englert is an executive editor at Orbit Books, where he acquires work for the Orbit, Red Hook, and Run For It lists. He has edited numerous New York Times bestsellers and has the privilege of working with authors like James S.A. Corey, Brent Weeks, John Gwynne, Joe Abercrombie, Andrei Sapkowski, Riot Games, and many, many more. He's also working to build Run For It, Orbit's new horror imprint, into a premier destination for die-hard horror readers. Please welcome to the stage, Bradley Englert. And last but absolutely not least, our special guest of honor, Dutch Bihary. Dutch is a renowned face and body painting artist and an international instructor based in Washington State. He began his career in art at 18, illustrating comic books before discovering body painting and quickly gaining recognition for his dynamic, character-driven designs. Dutch became widely known as a contestant on the first season of Skin Wars. I'm sure if you've seen Skin Wars, yeah. And later appeared as a celebrity mentor on the spin-off series Fresh Paint. Alongside his wife, Brecky, he co-founded ContoursFx, a studio and gallery that also serves as a hub for education, offering workshops, boot camps, and advanced masterclasses for aspiring and professional artists around the world. Dutch continues to push the boundaries of what can be done with paint, anatomy, and imagination, from horror and fantasy creations to bold graphic designs for film, television, and live events. Please welcome to the stage, Dutch Bihary. All right, and we can just make this conversational, but I have lots of questions for all of you, I'll be honest with you. And T. Kingfisher, or Ursula, I'll start with you. So I remember, as I think a lot of people do, the dark years, the COVID years, where many of us turned to things like sourdough starter. And your book, the Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, was such good timing for that. The question I have for you is, how much of that was just the chance of the timing, and how much of it was your kind of machinations or bringing in cultural events to your writing?
Well, yes, now I will confess that I did indeed start the COVID epidemic, specifically to promote my book. It was one of those like once in a million years sort of things. I had written the book about 10 years prior, and my publisher for the children's books bought it, and then a year later was like, we have no idea what to do with this book. Will you write us a different book? And I said, okay, give me that one back, I'll write you a different book. And then my agent very nobly shopped it around for like the next 7 or 8 years, and all the children's book publishers were like, this is really more of a second book. Can you write a first book to go with it? I'm like, no, I could just stay with my current publisher if I'm doing that. And finally, and then COVID rolled around, and I was like, oh, everyone's got sourdough starter and doesn't trust the police. I believe this book's time has come. And I was like, can I just self-publish it now? And she's like, do it. And the small press I work with who does the print copies is like, yeah, so that basically kept the entire press afloat during COVID because everybody was really into sourdough starters.
Yeah, that definitely applies to me as well, and I'm sure many in the audience. Sourdough is like a kind of a needy roommate that also has many kind gifts and benefits, but yeah, it's high maintenance. I'll just say. I'm sure we all resonated with the baking.
I will confess now, I've never been able to keep a sourdough starter alive.
Same.
Yeah.
Who could? Geneva, I'll ask you. Now, your art is, I would say, immediately recognizable, whether your signature is on it or not. It's a very distinctive style, beautiful, and you style yourself as a self-taught artist. And I'm curious how much that helps you find your own kind of like your own style, or was that more of a hindrance, or was that kind of a benefit? I'll just ask that way.
I would say it's like both. By self-taught, I just mean no college. I'm a dropout after a semester in community college, so I didn't have like any formal schooling. That's what I mean by self-taught. But it's a that's what I mean by a hindrance, because I didn't have like the structure that people do have when they make this their careers. But it helped a lot in that I started this at a time where YouTube and stuff was starting to take off, and like artists really wanted to share their knowledge like online, and so it made it like much easier. Like and it was easy to get like books like at the library, and artists freely sharing their knowledge online to like just learn from them and just learn from some of my favorites, like sort of just do what like they had like tutorials and such, and just see what works with them, see what you like with their work, and then just make it your own. And that's kind of what I meant by self-taught. So, yeah, so it's a double-edged sword. I do wish I had that like structure. It would save me a lot of headaches, save me a lot of years. But I mean, I do miss not going to art school. I'm kind of jealous, but I mean, it's been an interesting journey to kind of see this see my style kind of shape into what it is, I guess. So yeah.
And kind of follow-up question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, listen, I got a lot of artist friends who are still paying off the loans from
Yeah, I
art
didn't wanna
school,
mention
so yeah,
that.
you might have lucked out.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention that, but yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Just going to say the follow-up question is, your style is so distinctive. Did it take a long time to gain that kind of current style, or do you feel like it's kind of always been the vision that you've had? Or
No, it wasn't. Until I was like 19, I just drew nothing but anime. Still kind of do, but it's what was your question? I'm sorry.
just asking, how long it took you to find your own voice in art.
Maybe like 5 or so years after finding a bunch of artists that I love online. Like my first influence was a Chinese artist named Benjamin. I'm not sure of his actual Chinese name, but he went by Benjamin in United States. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to paint like this guy. And then there was Julie Dillon, who I learned is a guest of honor,
Yeah.
who was a guest of honor here. And there was other like influences, like I guess like Loish, and who's a famous online artist. So it's built up over time, and I don't know if the crowd can see it from here, but I have like weird eyes. Like some of my eyes go like kind of cross-eyed, and apparently that is, and I can't see three-dimensional.
Oh, interesting.
And so because of that, I've learned, apparently, according to an eye specialist, that's like instead of seeing three-dimensional, I kind of make up for it in color. So I guess I don't see things like normal people do. I didn't mean to sound like I was special or anything like that, but like, I guess that helps too. 'Cause
Super interesting.
yeah. So I shade with color because I can't really see shades, I guess.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Question for our science guest of honor, Summer. So there's so much going on in the world of science. And I mean, right now we have 4 astronauts heading towards the moon for the first time in 50 years. Finally. But I was just curious, Summer, what are the science projects or maybe recent discoveries that you're most excited about sharing this weekend, or just generally most interested yourself about?
Well, I like to talk about space all the time, so I will talk about space with anyone, and it doesn't even have to be current projects. It can be anything that I think is cool. So one of the things that I think is coolest that's going to be a focus of the Q&A is the fact that for pretty much all of human evolution until the 1930s, we only ever knew the sky with visible light. And since then, we've been uncovering all these new windows and different types of light that the universe has information in and sends it out. And to me, that's just really, 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 really cool. And that each piece is telling a different part of the story. But what I am excited about is a couple different things that are looking at the universe. One that already is, which is the James Webb Space Telescope. Amazing things. And speaking of the moon, is on the other side of the moon from us, which is wild. Coming up, I think, it might be 2027, but there's the Nancy Roman telescope that's going to be launched and also go into orbit. And what just came online this past summer was the Vera Rubin Observatory, which is on the ground in Chile. And it's doing incredible things. It's got an amazing ability to sort of observe huge patches of the sky and just continually. It's actually doing a mapping project. And then any astronomer can use that data for whatever they want to use it for. So it's almost like this amazing public service.
Yeah.
Whereas James Webb, individual astronomers or teams apply to get time allotted for exactly what they want to look at.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah,
Super interesting.
just looking around the universe is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And there's still so much we don't know.
And when you say, beyond just the visible spectrum, you're talking about things like the Very Large Array, where you worked not too long ago.
Yeah, those are my 27 BFFs.
Yeah. And that uses
So that's radio.
radio. Yeah.
Radio light. There's the Chandra X-ray Observatory, which is NASA. There's all different types of light, but there's so many different projects that are already out there. There was Fermi was gamma ray, Swift was infrared, all different things. And as you'll hear more about if you come to my Q&A, you learn different things with different types of light, and if you're only using one type, you don't get the full story. Which I kind of liken to like a book. Like if you just read one chapter, you're not getting the full story. Or like music, if you're only playing one instrument or listening to one octave,
Yeah.
you don't know the symphonies there.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Bradley, question for you. So you probably see tons of unpublished works, lots of books that maybe, great works, etc. Just curious for like 2025 and 2026, the kinds of themes or trends you're seeing from, incoming works, and or And maybe kind of a separate side of this question is, what are the themes that you're most excited about, or trends you're most excited about, or conversely, what are you not seeing that you wish you were seeing in there that you would be excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I think in fantasy and science fiction in particular, the two big themes are romantasy and cozy fantasy. I think there's a real interest in stuff that just feels good to read about and that just makes people feel warm. And I think cozy fantasy does that really well. On the flip side of that, we're also seeing a ton of horror because I think people are like very scared of a lot of different things, and we want to find other people who are scared of what we're also scared of and be in conversation with them in that way. And I think horror actually makes you feel less alone in certain ways, which I find fascinating. So I love the boom that we're seeing in horror in particular. I think the thing that I just want to see more of is just really weird stuff. I love when like people sort of lean into the specific story that they want to tell and have a really specific point of view and tell a story in a way that only they can. I think especially in like big five publishing that I'm in, we often think of like, how do I market this? How do I pitch this? Which I think of as like a problem down the line. I just want a really cool story first, and then I'll figure out everything else later on.
Yeah. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I definitely think we're seeing a lot of that, the cozy and the romantasy for sure. Yeah, interesting.
Trust me, cozy weird is possible.
Say that again?
Cozy weird
Yes.
is possible.
Yes, 100%. 100%. All right, question for Dutch. So Dutch, your body painting work, absolutely amazing. You're a fantastic artist, but I'm just curious, it's such a different medium. It's a medium that can stare back at you, literally. I was just curious, speaking of body painting, like what is it that you most love about body painting as an art form, I'll say?
Well, that's a loaded question. Start off, I'm very humbled to be up here with this panel, amazed. But body painting was honestly something that just happened. I face painted children at pumpkin patches and festivals for years. The body painting was sort of, I think, the next feasible evolution of that particular medium, because I can paint the face. Well, now I can paint more. But I think what I brought to the table when I hit the scene was just a background in sci-fi, fantasy, crazy things. I was asked once in a magazine interview, what about art inspires you? And I was like, wow. Where do I go with that question? And it just kind of popped into my head all of a sudden. And what really, I guess, as an artist who's also sort of a technical artist, I like challenges. And what I found was the most challenging thing was just bizarre textures and patterns, and trying to do forced perspective with those things on a moving canvas and make 3D things sort of, I kind of wanted to, without using prosthetics or any sort of applique, make people's eyes see that anyway. And that's sort of been my hallmark style, I guess. So that was kind of what really, I guess, drove me forward with the body painting and trying to do something different than what everybody else was doing. Everybody else was painting jeans and tiger stripes on people's backs, and I thought that was all really cliche and lame. It's like, well, we could go so many different directions with this, and I just happened to get into the industry at a time when it was getting kind of stale and boring, and just kind of the same things were just being done over and over in different ways, and so we saw a big explosion. A lot of other people that have mentored under me and have taken classes from me have explored a lot of these other different things that you can do with body paint now, and I would encourage people to look into it. As a legitimate fine art form, if you looked at competitions like Daegu in Korea or the World Body Paint Festival in Austria, and looked at some of the artwork that comes out of these things, it'll absolutely blow your mind. So, and I'm very happy and humbled to be kind of a person that kind of helped that grow and took it into different directions.
So follow-up question. Yeah. So follow-up question, art has, like all things, it's ephemeral. but your art is so ephemeral. I mean, is that how do you grapple with that? I'll just ask.
I actually, that's one of my favorite things about it, to be frank. I get asked that quite a lot, and they're just like, well, now that you're done, what do you know, you're just gonna wash it off, you know? It's like, well, that's great, because you have these little victories in pieces like that, things that maybe turned out better than you'd expected they would, and there's also little problems with certain things, and you learn these lessons after a while, and learn what to do more of and what to do less of, just to create a bigger, more impressive, a show at the end, and they just get better and better and better. You don't go backwards with this art form. Everything you do just kind of makes you a little bit better. And that's what I like about it. So if I do something, and obviously all artists are super hypercritical of their own work, devastatingly critical of their own work sometimes. And you see the photos and you're like, oh no, I missed that, or man, I shouldn't have done that, that didn't work. The elephant trunk, bad placement. So, things like that happen and you learn lessons, but you just get better every time you do it. And you look back at the old stuff with fondness and can have a laugh at times.
Yeah, great. So another question for Summer. I saw that you are into, not sartorial, but startorial. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. The funny story, so basically it's a astronomy and science fashion business. It started, myself and another astronomer friend of mine, it started because we started noticing a fad, this was probably early 2010s, of galaxy leggings. Yeah. So, and then we started realizing that they weren't just artistic representations, that some of them were clearly inspired by real images, to the point where then you started to see some real images. And we just thought that it was cool to sort of collect them out, curate them, and point out, like, oh, this is NGC 2716, and this is what we know about it, and this is the telescope that took this picture. And then we just kept stumbling, more and more people would send us stuff, so it expanded from leggings to people designing jewelry that's based on real science data or science missions, all sorts of things. We even saw, let's see, I'm not sure when, I'm going to get the year wrong, but it might have been 2014 or 15 when Valentino had one of his fashion collections, one of the fashion house collections, had designs on it that were from Trouvelet's artwork of Mars, Venus, meteor showers. So it was just fascinating to sort of see this, and nerds, were having a moment, which was fantastic. And then it's turned into a store. But the funny thing about the name is that we could not figure out what to call it for so long. And we just kept coming up. My partner loves puns. And we wanted a pun, but we couldn't get it. And I'm just sitting in my office at Columbia one day, and my office mate, who's a researcher, just turned to me one day and said, "Startorialist." Yeah. And I was like, oh my God.
It's brilliant.
It's perfect. Yeah, so now there's an online store, and a lot of the new images, like the ones that were taken by the Rubin, but especially the JWST ones, have made their way into clothing, and I'm going to have one on tomorrow. And I just think it's really cool. It's become an informal outreach tool. So I also really love, like I said, talking about space. And what better than like wearing it or wearing some form of what you study, and then someone's like, hey, that looks cool, and then I'm like, oh, did you know it's also this? And then the next thing you know, you're nerding out with someone, and it's just really, really fun.
I love it. I love it. Geneva, another question for you. So I'm curious, is there a current project you're working on that you're really excited about? And then kind of do you work on a single project at a time, or do you have many projects you work on in parallel, just out of curiosity?
I tend to work on multiple things at a time because once I'm like partway through with something, I don't want to look at it anymore, so I just move on to something else until enough time has passed. But one thing I'm trying to focus on is something called weapon fairies. It is fairies with weapons. It's I should have brought some, but I didn't bring any. But it is a series. I'm going to work on edition 2 pretty soon. And the first edition is a series of 13 fairies based off real insects with different weapons and a helpful herb. So that's I'm going to work on volume 2 pretty soon. And I'm excited for that, and I want to compile them all into one giant thingy. I don't know what the thingy is yet, but I just want them all 24 to 26 total ones. Whenever I'm done, just somewhere. So yeah, that's what I'm working on, hopefully starting in April and hopefully finishing in July. So yeah, excited
Sounds
for
super
that.
cool. So each fairy has its own weapon and a different herb?
Yeah, so like the very first one like I ever did was like I think a long-winged butterfly, a naginata, and like rosemary. Feels like I should know this, but yeah, it's and they all look different. They all have different body types, different genders, presentations, and yeah, it's a fun little project. Yeah.
I love it. I'm excited for it.
Thank you.
Ursula, so I'm curious, you have such a wide variety of audiences and writing styles and just genres that you cover. I'm just curious if there's a favorite for you that your go-to type of story to tell, or if you just love to tell all these different types of stories.
I mean, I like telling all the different kinds of stories because the ADHD is powerful. But I believe someone, it might have been me, might have been my editor, said the platonic ideal of a T. Kingfisher story is a horror novel where a woman is alone in the woods in a house that she has inherited with her pet. And this is basically I thought about it, I was like, man, I could just sit and write those all day. Yes, that is true. But fantasy is actually what I usually default to. I just assume that I will be writing fantasy. I should say that, that said, I did just somehow convince Tor to give me money to write a hard science fiction novel that is
nice.
It's uplifted naked mole rats in space.
Love it. Oh, wow. Uplifted. I love it.
And I mean, it makes sense. They can live on very small amounts of oxygen, and they're very they resist radiation very well. They either don't get cancer. If they do, they don't care. And they live like 30 years, and they're a sort of hive mind. So you could just send your little mole rat mechanic into a very tight crawl space with a wrench, which would be adorable. And then the queen would be like, okay, the heat pump's busted. All right, I have downloaded the schematic directly to your brain. So they're actually more like Borg naked mole rats. But yes, so yes, look for the naked stars coming out at some point in the future. I don't know. I still have to finish writing the book, but yes.
I love it. Reserving it right now.
Yay.
Dutch, another question for you. So I'll say, the body painting is ancient, goes back, as far back as we know, but it also seems like it's growing in popularity with festivals, etc. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, like what's driving this explosive growth in popularity?
I don't know if I could pinpoint any one thing. As far as the heritage and the history of body painting, it is a fascinating thing if you kind of dig into it. I was invited to Africa to do some body painting for a festival over there with all locals as our models. And initially, the mandate was to sort of do African kind of things. And not a one of us felt very comfortable with that. We were like, well, this seems super disingenuous. I mean, why would you want to see my personal impression of your culture? And we quickly did a 180 on that. And I said, these people over here probably would like to see something else than having their culture butchered by people that don't know anything about it. And so we just kind of started doing our own thing and just getting real creative with it. And it turned out to be a really good call. And things started to turn out really cool. But I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, I guess if I were to throw a dart, it would just be the social media. There's so much more exposure to what we do now. A big part of me and the television show that I was on, I actually turned them down numerous times because, as I mentioned in our little panel earlier today, I kind of had a philosophical problem with competing artists. It just felt very wrong to me.
Yeah.
And it's so, you know how it is. I mean, judging art is so broad, and it's, the eye of the beholder and all that jazz. And I mean, my whole thing was, well, let's get Picasso, Leonardo da Vinci, Banksy, and Andy Warhol up on stage, and you tell me who the best artist is.
Yeah.
Because how do you do that? You just can't. So I had actually turned down the show, and then I was an incredibly strong advocate for kind of putting our best foot forward in general because body painting was still kind of in the closet, so to speak. I mean, it was this naughty little, thing. It was like soft core, and
Yeah.
so like a peep show or something. And so it kind of had this tawdry kind of eerie feel to a lot of people, and so therefore it was kind of taboo still. And I was like, oh guys, you gotta open your eyes a little bit and see that what people are doing with this medium. And so that's how they hooked me in. There's like, well, this is the best way for you to get that out there. And so with the advent of there was actually several shows that were being produced at that time. And it was just kind of drawing a little bit more attention to it as an actual art form and the versatility of that form, what you could do it for. I did an ad campaign with Ducati motorcycles, and we did some great body art for that. And there's just so much you can do with it. So it just kind of, I think it just grew its own legs, and now it's just kind of wandering everywhere. And it just pops up. I mean, obviously, I kind of stick to a circuit of conventions and trade shows and things like that where this stuff is kind of promoted heavily. So it's very comfortable for me, but I still have to kind of step outside of myself and realize there's a lot of people out there that, this is really new to, and it would probably be a little bizarre to have a mostly nude person walking in front of you with amazing art all over their body. And I'm a little numb to that now, but as a casual observer, as long as we're keeping it clean and making it about the art, it's an amazing art form, and it's incredibly versatile. If anybody did happen to see the television show when we did the challenge where we had to put 5 contortionists together into a single piece of art. That was a whole lot of fun, and like I said, I love a challenge, so that was a really good one. That happened to be one of the challenges that I actually won. But what was unfortunate was, the magic of television, as it were. All of the models were also painted with a secondary piece of art because I wanted the money too. And so when they unfolded and stood up, there was more going on, but they cut that out for whatever reason. So, well, I know the reason, but I'm not going to get bitter.
What's the reason?
Well, reality television, I'm just going to leave it at, if they have to call it reality television, it's not documentary television.
I see.
So, yeah. There's some canoodling going on in the background because, I mean, let's be honest. These guys are spending thousands of dollars to put on these productions. They have to have some kind of control. They can't just let these things unfold organically. So there has to be some controls.
Some king making going on in the background.
Yeah. There's some calls being made in advance of outcomes, let's just say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the social media aspect of it, I think, is super interesting. And a question for Bradley: how much does that influence? I'll just say your industry, like TikTok or Book Talk, etc. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, Book Talk is like everything right now, which is good and bad. It's good because there's some books that, and really like deep backlist books from like early 2000s that get traction, and then they blow up and they become bestsellers out of nowhere, but it becomes a bit of like an echo chamber of once something is popular, we're all reading the same thing and everyone has to have a take on the same thing. And that's where I think it starts to get a little annoying, is how I'd phrase it. Is just like we start to only pay attention to what's talked about on social media and stop sort of looking for our own sort of like niches that we like to read in. One thing that I've seen a lot of comments on is people start saying, oh, no one's publishing epic fantasy right now. Everyone's only publishing romantasy, which is not true. That's just all you're hearing about on Book Talk. but if you look at stuff I'm editing lots of epic fantasy, and I still love it and still want like cool epic fantasy to come out. So I think if something blows up on Book Talk, it's really nice, especially for like the author, because it becomes this really big deal. But I think we're losing a little bit of the nuance of book reviewing and conversations around books, because you have to be, I think the more incendiary you are, the more attention you get, and so that just sort of like breeds more and more incendiary takes instead of like open, honest, fun conversations happening on social media.
And are you just tracking Book Talk trends, or are you actually going out there and influencing a little bit, just out of curiosity?
I'm nowhere on social media. I'm like
maybe not
completely-
personally.
Yeah, yeah. No,
the industry
Yeah,
generally.
the industry in general for sure. I mean, we have like our marketing team who sort of keeps up with what's happening on Book Talk and Bookstagram and all of these places. But we don't acquire anything thinking, oh, we're going to make this a Book Talk hit. We definitely think, you know, this is the marketing angle for this book in certain ways, and we should get it to these influencers and these reviewers. But the second that we start sort of making decisions based on the algorithm is the second that I leave the industry. It's like really uninteresting to me to do publishing that way.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, well, we have panels coming up, et cetera, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time to be able to get to those panels, but I just want to thank all of our guests of honor for coming up, spending some time letting us get to know you and answering some questions. So thanks everybody for being here today.
Thank you for interviewing and, on the fly. And
It was absolutely my pleasure. Absolutely.
you were good at it.
Thank you. All right, thanks everybody. It's been a great audience.
May I make a special announcement for everybody?